hey, this is my product of choice or my brand of car of choice. But then again, I wouldn't say that's faking it. And if I told you that the most important currency on the internet is positivity,
Yes.
how much would you say you're worth today? And how much empathy and kindness have you spread today? When people say, I think they've just watched Terminator too many times when they say that, oh, AI is going to take over our lives. My point is, you know who's going to be left behind? Not humans. Humans who don't know how to use artificial intelligence are the ones who are going to be left behind.
Hi guys, welcome to Why Leadership Fails. I am your host, Bhavna Lalchandani. Today's episode is a special one. We have with us a guest whom I personally admire. What I love about her is her undying spirit, this crazy energy, and her never say never attitude that shatters all stereotypes. She's an OG influencer, a pioneer in Bollywood as well as lifestyle blogging, and has built her own media empire. Well, her stories will certainly leave you inspired and entertained. So let's welcome Malini Agarwal, aka Miss Malini. Hey Malini, welcome to Why Leadership Fails. So lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me. And I apologize. I know my voice is a little off, but occupational hazard.
Not at all, and I appreciate you keeping up your commitment in spite of not being well. So thanks so much. Well, starting with your journey, you started as a background dancer. You came to Mumbai, the land of dreams, and you actually built a media empire from there. So it's like आँखों में सपने लिए, हम घर से चल तो दिए, and पता नहीं कहाँ ले जाएंगी, हमारी लकीरें या हमारे रास्ते. And that's what you've built, right? So I would say that this is truly inspiring, but at the same time, filmy, isn't it?
I think so, but I mean, what isn't filmy about most people's lives who come to Mumbai? I think everyone, and that's kind of when you look back at your stories, you find a little romance and that drama or whatever you want to call filminess in it. And it is quite filmy because I remember when I landed in Mumbai, it was a rainy day and I was in one of those black and yellow cabs and there was neon lights and I could see the reflection in the puddles and all that was missing was a Bollywood soundtrack.
I'm sure. So if someone was to make a biopic, on your journey, who do you think would play the character? And what are those 3 highlights which would add a unique tadka to it?
I mean, I guess it would depend on what year this is being made, but the dream would be Deepika Padukone, of course, because I adore her.
I agree.
I think that the highlights would be, I have a couple of incidents that I've mentioned many times in my first book as well. When I first moved to Bombay, I have most Bollywood romances have a pigeon involved, right? In a romantic way. Mine was not very romantic. It was a bit of a horror show because I lived in a house with 6 girls and this pigeon used to somehow sneak into the house every night and then it would fly around and I was always so worried it's going to hit the ceiling fan and there'd be blood everywhere. So I think that scene would definitely be in there. I think a lot of my interesting moments with celebrities would be there. The day that we waited 8 hours to interview Shah Rukh Khan at his office during, the press junket for Happy New Year. That was really quite sweet and filmy because they all, first were like, Miss Malini, you're a real person. I thought you were the anime. And I think there's been many, many meetings like that, whether it's with Amitabh Bachchan or Amir Khan or any of the big, Bollywood stars. And along the way, so many different incidences. I think that definitely when the company got acquired, definitely when I've written not just 1 but 2 books. So I think there's more than enough masala for at least 1 film or a mini series.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I hope that somebody from Netflix, an OTT platform, or Jio is watching this, and you never know. We're just manifesting it.
Looking at you, Kejo.
Kejo, yeah. That's awesome. I would also say that, maybe Priyanka Chopra, because I think she would embody your spirit, right? That's what's important. So,
I take
maybe.
it. She actually wrote the foreword for my first book. Absolutely.
See? Oh, great. So, Malini, talking about leadership, right? When it comes to influencers, well, that is leadership in its own realm, right? Everybody follows them and they look up to them. In today's day and age, we've seen a lot of influencers who are faking it.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of their lifestyle, the luxury that they display, these fancy cars. What's your take on that?
So I'm sure there might be cases of people faking things in different realms, but what I have come across in the digital age and social media world, that it's actually a full-blown proper industry, and there might be some cases of people faking it, but I've really not really come across that. I think what I've seen is maybe what you're referring to is that maybe personally they can't afford these luxuries, but because they have a certain number of followers, they are seen doing collaborations with a Mercedes or a BMW, and maybe they're seen wearing fancy clothes that they were gifted and they didn't buy. I don't know if I would call that faking it. I think that's more about being someone that has popularity amongst a Gen Z or millennial audience, and the brands can see that they're popular, and so they want to give them things, or they want them to show their audience that, hey, this is my product of choice or my brand of car of choice. But then again, that's not, I wouldn't say that's faking it.
Your journey has been so inspiring and it's been so awesome. But I'm sure there would be a tipping point or a setback. You know, like they say, किसी को इतना भी मत डराओ कि डर ही खत्म हो जाए. So did you face something like that? Ki, F it. You know, this is what I want to do. I don't care what somebody says. You know, I don't care about the outcome. I feel this is the right path. Let me just move forward.
So I'll tell you, for me, I started blogging when I was actually a radio DJ with Radio 1. And basically, the radio station was owned by a newspaper called The Midday. So they had given me a gossip column in the paper called Malini's Mumbai, which was a print column. So it wasn't really the way that my journey began. It wasn't something that I said, okay, now this is what I'm going to do, and, you know, F it, and people may not believe in this. This didn't exist as an industry. So there was no word as influencer, content creator.
Sure.
That industry just didn't exist. So it wasn't something that I fought to join. I think I accidentally stumbled upon it and then ended up paving the way in something that now is a pretty full-blown industry. But I can see why it's hard for people to look back 15 years and realize that that didn't exist. Instagram didn't exist when I started. You know, it was Facebook maybe just about, and then Twitter. So for me, it wasn't really an effort situation. It was kind of like, oh, wow, I can't believe I can do this for a living. I think for me, I'm a pretty practical person. So I always had a job. And that's what I always tell a lot of aspiring creators. You can't just join the internet and expect to become, you know, a wealthy influencer overnight. I had a day job that paid the bills, whether it was at radio or I was working in digital content at Channel V for 2 years, while I would come home at midnight and do my content from midnight till 4 in the morning.
Sure.
So I don't think I ever really had like a F it, let's see, jo hota hai, kya hota hai.
That's
It was actually pretty, it was pretty amazing. It had just all sort of unfolded. It was also a lot of being at the right place at the right time, that it was all unfolding. And I still remember, if you go to my YouTube, there's videos of me at the radio station interviewing, you know, whether it's a Rahul Khanna or Imran Khan with my little flip camera. And those videos are still on my YouTube channel. And I think maybe a tipping point in a positive way rather than a negative way is that Mihir Joshi, who's another radio jockey, had tagged Imran Khan on Twitter saying, you would like to hear Malini's show. She does this drive show on Radio 1. And he replied saying, yeah, I think it's great. And I just, without thinking about it, said, why don't you come host it with me? Never in my wildest dreams thinking that he's going to say yes.
Sure.
And he said, okay, on one condition, if you call it pirate radio. And I was like, you can call it whatever you want. And it turns out, then he came and he wanted to call it pirate radio because, like, back when radio had begun internationally, the only way they could play rock music or pop music is if they broadcasted off a ship in the water, like pirates. And because of that, that became kind of something that started a domino effect. Then I remember Facebook messaging Farhan Akhtar and asking him to come on the show, and he did. Now, in today's day and age, I'm sure if you Facebook messengered Farhan Akhtar, he's probably not going to reply. But that was a different
Absolutely
time.
not.
You know? And then same with Rahul Khanna, Rahul Bose. So I was very lucky with the timing also was quite key.
But again, you know, like you mentioned, right time and the right place. But, you know, ambiguity as well scares people. And you don't know that, you know, the space that you're actually entering into, you know, how's that going to unfold, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome as well.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I identified it as an opportunity. I was just having fun with new technology. And then it sort of found, you know, a life of its own, like a lot of inventions do. And I think when people started out, and like I always tell people, when Facebook invented the like button, it was never supposed to be a public display or judgment. It was supposed to be a way of spreading positivity.
Sure.
But now it's become sort of social currency. So everything sort of evolves or sometimes devolves in its own way. But this was kind of just over the last 15 years. If I look back, that looks like there are tipping points or there are certain triggers that made things happen, but none of it was by design.
Sure. So, you know, building the media empire, right? I mean, the vibe that I get is of that boss lady.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, ask you whether, are you that chill mentor, or are you the Miranda Priestly types, of Devil Wears Prada?
You're going to have to ask my team that. I think I'm a little bit of everything at different times. I feel that, the reason why, I think it's very different ball game now. There was a time where you joined a job or an office to just pay the bills and you didn't expect any emotional satisfaction out of it. But I think especially Gen Z and the work that we do in entertainment, people are not joining just to make money. They're joining out of passion, out of something that they dream of. And I always say that you have to ask people what their dreams are and not just stop them at yours, because nobody just wants to sign up to make your dreams come true. They all have their own. So the best employers are the ones who know that certain people in your teams have certain dreams and give them opportunities and work to do that will get them on the path to their dream. So they'll work harder, they'll be more committed, and they'll be more
nurtured.
They'll be more they'll have skin in the game. Otherwise, why would they do it?
Sure, absolutely, I agree. So we know of the history of Malini, to Miss Malini. What's next 10 years? What are your dreams? Because you just spoke about the dreams, right?
I'm 100% living my dream right now in every possible way. I think the next 10 years will be a mixture of how technology evolves with AI, VR, all of that. I've just finished writing my second book. I don't know if I have another book in me. Let's see. We have an OTT show coming out. I've just started a show with Meta called Thread Talks India with Miss Malini, which is sort of amplifying the idea of conversations with people. So it's not just me interviewing someone, but we start a conversation and we like on Threads, they continue it because Threads is much more of a pop culture platform. Sure. I'm always doing a bunch of different things. And I, started doing a lot of events, and ever since we got acquired by Good Glam Group, we started Good Creator Co., which is the largest ecosystem for influencers. So we do a lot of creator meetups. We give them opportunities to create content or get to know each other. So I'm always doing something. But I wouldn't say that I'm yet to live the dream. I'm in the middle, bang in the middle of it right now.
That's awesome. You spoke about your book, right? That's amazing that you've been an author. Why don't you tell us about what it is?
So this is my second book. It's called Under the Influence, and I basically wanted to write sort of a dummy's guide on how to survive and thrive online from the perspective of someone who's been doing it for 15 years. I tell everyone that, social media gave me my whole career and my life, but it took its pound of flesh from whether it's from, the experiences of trolling or understanding my own behavior online and understanding the difference between how you behave with people in person and how you have a free pass to say anything and everything behind the guise of a screen. And, even I thought of myself as a good person, but then I realized, in the course of unpacking and processing my journey, that I've been somebody's accidental troll too, as I'm sure everybody has online without realizing it. So I kind of, realized that the big mistake that we made is that we all jumped on the internet, not thinking of it as a serious space for life. It's our virtual reality. It was always like, don't take it seriously, it's the internet, or, it's the toxic internet. But my friend Ridge Epen, who's also an influencer, king of clubs, always says, we always talk about the internet as this toxic place. But this is not some alien nation that's showed up. We are the internet. We are the toxic or non-toxic people on it. So we have to change it. So I think that that's kind of the journey of the book is not so much on how to be a good influencer, but how to be a good influence.
Nice.
There is something that I've unpacked in it, which I really love. It's called the helper's high. That when, the same feeling you get when someone comments or likes your post.
Can you repeat that?
It's called the helper's high.
Helper's high.
And the same feeling you get when someone likes or comments your post, you get when you like or comment on someone else's. You just don't realize it. So if you know that dopamine is in your hands, and if I told you that the most important currency on the internet is positivity,
yes,
how much would you say you're worth today? And how much empathy and kindness have you spread today? Because we invented a currency, which is paper, which we call money, and today is all materialistic. But if I told you that that's not the most valuable thing, how would you change your behavior? So a lot of that and a lot of understanding of how, the internet has changed us. Evolution has been changing us for decades, but the technological revolution and change in the human psyche and behavior is almost supersonic.
And mind-boggling, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, speaking about evolution, speaking about technology, I personally have a lot of interest in AI and, because that's where the world is heading, right?
Yeah.
And you obviously have to kind of, catch up. Also, I'm not going to leave this opportunity because I'm speaking to an OG influencer. So I've read a lot about virtual influencers, Lil Michaela and all of that. So what's your take on it in terms of, do you believe in the real deal, or you think that the virtual influencers will catch on?
So I'll tell you what. I mean, I heard this amazing podcast, another one by this guy called Rizwan, and he was playing virtual reality game of table tennis. And he was so immersed in the game that before he took his headset off, he thought he was putting his paddle down, but it was actually the controller, and he dropped it on the floor. And that led him to think about the idea of the Matrix and whether we are all actually living in a giant simulation already. It's possible.
Yeah.
So then what is real, what is virtual anyway? And we're always so quick to diss something and say that, oh, this is not real. But what is real? I mean, we have now made an entire industry out of fashion and beauty and clothing and things that people who 100 years ago would have looked at us and thought we were insane. A great example is if you thought about the pandemic that happened 4 years ago. I remember sitting at JCB, which is a salon. Everyone's in PPE kits, but they're still getting their nails and hair done. It's absolutely insane. So my point is that we live in this reality where everything is looked upon suspiciously until enough people do it that it becomes fashionable.
And a reality.
And it's already a reality. So if you ask me, I think virtual influencers are amazing and interesting and they are the future. But I don't think when people say, I think they've just watched Terminator too many times when they say that, oh, AI is going to take over our lives. My point is, you know who's going to be left behind? Not humans. Humans who don't know how to use artificial intelligence are the ones who are going to be left behind. Otherwise, they're the ones that artificial intelligence is aping intelligence anyway. So, I've dug deep into ChatGPT 4, understanding how it works, and you can really converse with it. And I consider ChatGPT 4 one of my employees, and I have named, my husband has helped named different characters. You can actually teach it and say that you are a really great, experienced event organizer. And that character on our ChatGPT 4 is called Events Ekta. And she has been told that she knows how to do all of these things. So when we ask her to ideate an idea for a brand, she will do it from the wealth of knowledge that she's accumulated from the internet. There is no human error in artificial intelligence. And I think that's fantastic. If we can harness the power of that, then I don't think we need to worry about it. We need to work with it.
I'm so glad I asked this question because, there was so much insights just coming out. So that's great. But I feel that, what influencers did to celebrity, I think that authenticity is something which is important.
I think there's a lot of blurred lines. I think actors authentically play the parts they're supposed to on film. Everybody knows that's not who they are in real life. Influencers sometimes are playing themselves, and that's authentic and that's who they are, and people love them for that. Or they're playing a character that they love. Why is that any different than AI or an influencer created an AI? Because do you want a robot to play a robot, or do you want him to play a character? Like, what is everyone's problem with it is what I want to understand.
Yeah, no, but great perspective. Having said that, I think it's time now to get audience's voice into a conversation because we love our audiences, right? And we have this question from our audience for you, so I'm going to read it. This is by Meher. She's based out of Mumbai, and a question is, hey Malini, so I'm 21, just getting started in the content creation scene, and I've got to ask you, when you see any creator's content, what makes you feel ki हाँ यार इसमें कुछ बात है? Like, what is the key differentiator that captures your attention?
Well, Meher, that's a great question. And I think it's amazing that at this young age you are thinking about that. I think for me, it's different things at different times. If I'm just scrolling and I hear a piece of music or I see a fun bit that is trending, then I tend to go through that trending piece of content and see who's done the most interesting take on it. When I see a creator's profile, I tend to try to figure out who they are. So all the best advice that even a ChatGPT or any creator advisors will give you is figure out what is the purpose of your account. And I loosely sort of categorize these in a few different categories. One is either you're an entertainer, so you're purely creating entertainment content, or you're a curator, so you're saying this is the best of the internet, or you're an educator and you're teaching someone some sort of skill or something in a department, or you're kind of you should be one of these, or you're basically, you're a brand, which you might be the face of your own brand. So I think you generally fall into some of these categories, and I think it sounds like you're probably an entertainer or a brand that's trying to create content for it. So I'd probably be able to give you more specific advice if I know what is your interest area. But if, for example, you take, I would say, fashion or beauty creator, I think it stands out to me as if they have an interesting style. So if you look at Komal Pandey, if you look at her fashion and beauty videos, she does them with dance. If you look at, like Malvika Sitlani does a lot of to-piece cameras. While she does her makeup, she unpacks the story. So I think storytelling is important. Getting to know who you are is important. And something that makes you stand out, whatever it might be. It might be the most quirky thing that you have a particular signature style that you use, or a certain catchphrase that you use. I think that catches my attention.
Thank you, Meher, for sharing that question with us. All right, great. Malini, we're anyway having fun, but let's spice it up a little bit, right?
Let's do it, yeah.
So we move to our next segment, which is called the 60-second spin.
Okay.
It is basically a segment where I'm going to throw multiple questions at you for 60 seconds, and let's see how many you can answer.
All right.
All right, let's go. So time for a spin.
Let's go.
Okay, if you were to get a tattoo right now, what would it be and where would you place it?
Well, I already have 7, so I have run out of room.
Wow.
I think my next tattoo might be, my zodiac sign, Gemini. I don't know where to put it. Let's see.
We'll see, okay. One person you're dying to interview.
Amir Khan.
The most embarrassing blunder you've ever made.
I have made many, many embarrassing blunders. I think I've unpacked the Abhishek Bachchan fiasco in my first book. If you really want to know, go read it.
If you could swap lives with any Bollywood character for a day, who would it be?
Bollywood character?
Character, yes.
That's a good question. So many different ones, but I think I would love to, go back in time with one of those reincarnation movies, like a Karan Arjun life, and come back and see an olden time. I used to love those movies.
The song you've got on loop lately.
Oh man, what is this song that everyone is dancing to right now? Oh, Thank You, God. You do a real good job.
Last thing that made you laugh out loud.
I was doing my chat show, Thread Talks, with Kubra and Suhail and Ankush and Shivani, and they were just so hilarious. We just laughed the whole time.
All right, great. And that's the end of 60 seconds, and you did well.
Thank
9
you.
out of 10. All right, Malini. With that, we move to our last and the concluding note, which is called Expert Edge.
Okay.
Wherein I would like you to share one quick thought on why leadership fails and one mantra for being an effective leader.
I think leadership fails when you don't put enough process in place and you don't give things enough time to start working. It's almost like when you're starting to learn how to ride a bike. If there isn't enough momentum and speed and everybody working together to, work the pedals, everyone's going to fall over. You have to give it time for people to kind of be wobbly to start, and then the train will run smoothly. My mantra for, I think, effective leadership is listen more than you speak. I'm still learning to do that, but I think that is the most effective mantra.
So thanks, Malini. That was so much fun as well as insightful. Thank you to the audience for staying tuned in to this electrifying episode. I hope you enjoyed diving into this world of Miss Malini and also gained some valuable insights along the way. Do hit the like button, share it with your network, and drop a comment with one key takeaway that you really liked from this episode. Or else, just say hi to us. Well, stay tuned for many such inspiring and lively conversations. Until then, all you leaders out there, keep slaying, keep inspiring, and continue leading the way. This is me, Bhavna Lalchandani, signing off.